You're watching Guude. You're watching Guude. Fighting just to save our lives. Got you laughing every night.
Welcome back. What you laughing at?
Welcome back. That was quick.
I was gonna say something right at the end of the last episode, but I wanted to wait to this episode. Now it's gone from my mind forever.
It's been so long since we were recording.
Yeah, it's been 2 days.
Yeah. Yes, 2 days since the last episode. That ended 10 seconds ago.
2 days.
I
don't know
if
what
you
it was.
don't have anything, I'm curious because I just watched a YouTube video at some point earlier today. Have you ever heard of 3D chess?
Isn't that what Trump plays?
So, you know what? When I saw the video, there was some random comments about Trump, and I didn't quite understand what they were for. So I would assume, yes, that there's something to do with Trump playing 3D chess.
All the Trump supporters say that he plays 4-dimensional chess.
So, so the video that I watched was about 4-dimensional chess. But they got into the concept of 4-dimensional chess by going through the basic concepts of 3D chess first. And I figured that was easier to talk about.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Do you look at anything or study anything about the fourth dimension at all?
No.
You've never looked at anything about the tesseracts and how to visualize, the 4-dimensional tesseract in in 2D space, but visualizing it in 3D space and blah blah blah, all that.
I've used tesseracts in modded Minecraft before.
yes, I know you have. But they basically look like that. So the concept of the fourth dimension is basically that you really can't. It's so difficult to visualize because we live in a 3D world. Like, it's easy for us to visualize things in 3D on a 2D plane, like drawing something on paper to represent 3D because we understand that concept.
Right.
But to try to visualize something in the fourth dimension, especially projected on like a 2D plane, such as a computer monitor or whatever, is like blows your mind.
Isn't 4D just whenever they spray water on your face?
Yeah, what?
You go to those 4D experiences like
the immersive movie theaters.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what 4D is. They spray water on your face. I don't think there's any movie theater that advertises that it's in 4D.
Well, like for instance, like at Disney, Mickey's PhilharMagic, or there's also
Aren't those 3D?
No, they're 4D because they spray air and water at you. That's the fourth D.
That doesn't make it 4D.
That's what they call
them. That's a lie.
You have to take that up with Mickey.
Mickey ain't living on no different plane.
Mickey is on all planes.
But have you ever seen 3D chess?
Oh.
Yes, have you ever seen Mickey?
Yeah, me and Mickey are friends. No, I haven't. Is that what they play in Star Trek?
So they showed some videos of Star Trek, and I'm not sure if they were really playing it or not. Well, they showed some pictures from Star Trek. So I'm assuming that yes, that's the case. I'm really curious to actually play some. So in this video I watched, I will tell you, they made a 3D projected 4-dimensional chessboard and played 4D chess, which was insane, and it like makes your mind hurt, and their minds were hurting trying to figure out what moves that they could actually make. I think 3D would be a lot easier to grasp for us, and I want to play 3D chess.
Okay. Is there like a video game that we can use to play it?
I don't know. Next time we're in person, we need to play 3D chess.
Did you know somewhere to get like a 3D chess board?
I honestly, to make a 3D chessboard, to the way you play it, all they did was took a normal chessboard and played 4 of them out, but they were smaller. They weren't all 32 or 64 squares.
Yeah.
It was like a quarter of that, and there were 4 of them that lined up in a line, and you have to visualize that as if they were like all on top of each other.
Okay.
So you can play it on like a flat surface.
Gotcha.
4D chess, you needed to play on a flat surface with 4 3D projected chessboards. They still played it in like real life. They built them, but it was way more freaking confusing.
So how do you move? Because I've watched them play on Star Trek before. How do you move from like up and down, and how does all that stuff work?
So let's say you're a rook. A rook can normally move like straight north and south, or straight east and west.
Mm-hmm.
This rook can now move straight north, south, east and west, or straight
up and down.
That's
cool.
Imagining the boards on top of each other.
Right.
Whereas a rook. A knight, on the other hand, was the more confusing one because it can still move 2 one direction and 1 a different direction. You just got to remember that there's multiple more potential moves you have with the 2 one direction and 1 a different direction. Because you can go 2 forward and then 1 up, or 2 forward and 1 like to the right, or 2 right and 1 down.
Interesting. Okay.
So depending on what spot of the board that you actually land on.
So what
I
about
think
the
it'd
queen?
be like a mind trip, man.
Like, does the queen, like, can she go up and forward and back, or just
in a direct straight line anywhere in any of those planes?
Okay, but she can't.
But it would have to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it would have to just be in a direct straight line.
I see. What's he talking about? What are they talking about?
Their walls.
What walls?
I don't know which walls. Did you break some walls?
Nope. I build walls. I won't tear them down.
Okay, Trump.
You play 40 chess?
Does he actually say he plays 40 chess?
No, that's just one of those Trump subreddit things that no one can understand him because he's such a genius and he's playing 40-dimensional chess. The number keeps getting bigger.
Soon it'll be 5D chess.
Oh no, it's like I've seen like 40. Like I said, like I think it also depends on if the person's being sarcastic or not. Like normally the sarcastic people say something like 40-dimensional chess.
That's I've never seen that take on Trump before.
I'm surprised.
I wonder if we could build a 3D chessboard in here. We could. I think we could do it.
Well, yeah, why not?
Yeah, it'd actually be pretty easy to do it in here. We make a modded map where it just uses command blocks or whatever and actually play 4D chess or 3D chess. And hell, you can actually play 4D chess. It would just be the 3D projection of 4D chess on a 2D screen. That's where it gets all fucked up to think about these other dimensions. And to be honest, I don't quite understand the excuse me, the point of thinking of other dimensions. Yep, I'm dead.
What do you mean?
Like, do you think there's really things that live in the 4th dimension that we don't understand?
I think it's possible that that there are other dimensions in that, like let's say every action we take splinters the universe of your own, like your own personal universe, basically. So,
you're more thinking of not anomalies. What do they call them? Parallel universe theory type.
Right? Yeah, I could see that being a true truth. Like there's
but
some universe where
like
I never got married, and some universe where I never got divorced, and so on.
But I don't think traditionally in what I'm talking about that's considered the 4th dimension.
I see.
The 4th dimension is, think of, if you're looking at a piece of paper, that's stuff drawn in the 2 dimension, and imagine a creature living on that 2-dimensional plane, how if they couldn't look at an object next to them because it would look like a line to them as opposed to being able to see what it was like from the top. Nothing's really different in the fact of that universe still exists within this universe.
Right, I see what you're saying.
But I also like the concept that you're talking about with like parallel universes and all, because I could definitely see there being like universes where randomly, like the TV show Sliders.
I don't know if I've seen that.
That's the one where the hell is his name? Colin. Oh fuck. Jerry O'Connell.
I don't know who that
He's
is.
You don't know Jerry O'Connell is the actor?
I'm really bad with names of actors.
He basically he creates this portal that takes you to different parallel universes where it could be as simple as like in that universe, red lights mean go and green lights mean stop.
Right.
Versus a different universe where like Russia took over America because they won like the Cold War. They took over.
Kind of like Fringe. Did you ever watch Fringe?
No, but I don't try to remember what that one's about. I've never seen it, but it might be the same concept.
Yeah, there's multiple universes and can pass through them, and similar but different. I just read a book called Dark Matter that was kind of like that. Like this scientist, he gets knocked over the head and he wakes up in a science and like a some kind of science building, and they're all like, "You did it! You made it back!" And he's like, "What the fuck are y'all talking about?" And basically,
Looks like I didn't go anywhere. I had an accident.
yeah, I got knocked over the head. And basically, in a different universe, he had created a machine that lets you travel through universes. And he had found his other self had found a universe where he instead of like in the universe where he created the machine, whenever his girlfriend got pregnant, they broke up and she got an abortion. Versus in the one he was from, he stopped worrying about science and got married and so on. And so basically, the guy that created the dimension machine wanted that life, and so he knocked him out and sent the other guy back. So this guy ends up escaping to try to go back to his dimension where he was from, and like every time you enter this box or whatever, you're just in a room or a corridor full of doors, and he had like this drug you have to take that makes the box work, and he only had like 50 tries basically, and he kept like going from dimension to dimension, trying to find his way back to his wife and son. And
it's like Quantum Leap.
Kinda. It gets really
the next door could be your door.
Yeah, like apparently like whatever you're what's on your mind and like what you're conscious of affects what the door opens to basically. And so apparently every time he went into one of these other dimensions, it splintered again. And so whenever he finally got back to his wife and son, there was like 100 versions of him there as well. Because they had all eventually, like a lot of them had made it back because they continued to splinter inside this corridor.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then so like his wife is like, he basically finally gets her, and she's like, well, how do I choose whenever all of you were taken from me, sort of thing. It's pretty crazy. It was a good book,
it's kind of like that concept is, think of time travel, and I'm sure there's a group of people who want to try time travel just for the fact that they want to witness like past or future events, but like not intervene. But for the other group of people who wants to time travel because they want to change something, that's ultimately like time traveling without really knowing what the hell it is that you're changing when you go into one of those parallel universes. Right.
Yeah, I think if there's time travel, it's the same theory there, where your timeline, you change a timeline in a way that you can't get back to it anyways.
You ever seen the movie About Time? It's like I don't know if it's a British flick or what, but the main characters are like British in it, but it's got like Rachel McAdams as well. So not really sure if it was just cast with British people or, for the most part, or if it was actually a British movie. But it's about this guy who comes from a family where apparently all the males can like time travel. And the concept is he can go back to any point in his life and make different decisions, and it changes the future. But, spoiler alert, one of the problems that he realizes is once he has a family of his own and kids, anything he goes back before the birth of that child potentially could change like how that child is born. It's not the same child anymore because, of any life circumstances that could have happened to change what sperm it was that like made it there. So it tries to put the limit on how much you can time travel by saying like the second you have like a kid, like you're basically done at that point. Going back before that.
It kind of sounds like butterfly effect.
Well, but the whole concept is interesting because just because it's not like a baby per se and so easy to tell, no matter what you change, you're still changing aspects of everybody who you interact with times.
Right.
So it's just like changing that baby, just in a different way. And it's funny because, one of the main reasons that the whole movie is time travel. It's a love story, and he's like time traveling to make this woman happy and all this stuff. And he ends up like finding out who the love of his life, who he runs into, and finds out that at this one party just before he had met her, she meets this other guy and she's dating him. So he gets all the details about that situation and then time travels back to basically go meet that chick at the party before he does so they can fall in
Wow.
love. And it's just like, you know, you just kind of like could have ruined that other dude's potentially like happiness.
Right.
Because you just went and were like, yeah, fuck you, dude. She's mine. But I guess if you have that ability, it's kind of hard not to use it, right?
That's pretty crazy.
It was a decent movie if you would like a movie about like a different take on time travel. It's not like a super exciting movie, but it's a time
It sounds
travel
familiar. I
movie.
feel like I may have seen it. Whenever you started
We
talking
might have
about.
we might have talked about it before as well, because I remember when I saw it, you know, I tell you about most time travel movies that I've seen because. But yeah, if it's decent, if you have nothing else to watch, it's a decent watch.
Did you ever finish that series?
Travelers?
Yeah.
Yes, I did, and I'm waiting for season 3 supposed to be coming out.
Oh, they did. That's right. I remember you telling me that they finally did agree to make season 3.
Yeah,
that's gonna be interesting the way they left 2 off, like how they go from there.
Yeah, 2 ended in such a like everybody hates them type of way. Like, how are they going to come back from that?
Yeah,
but I do like that. That concept is interesting because it's that you can't time travel back before the last person to time travel, so you can't like unravel the whole plot line.
And that's how I honestly believe if there ever is the ability to travel through time, I think that's how it would work. I feel like it would.
Otherwise, you just get stuck in like paradoxes of everybody undoing what everybody else had done.
Yeah. I feel like there cannot be time travel until the point where time travel is invented, sort of thing. If it's
not even that in Travelers though. You can't go back till the point it was invented, but you also can't go back earlier than the last time travel.
That's true. Yeah. I forgot about that.
And that's why all those people are coming in. They don't know what's really happened in the future anymore, and the future's changed a lot, and they're trying to get updated on what the new future is, and it's not even the same future they came from, and the same reasons they went in the past don't even exist anymore because they've either succeeded or failed. Like, it's not necessarily that they've accomplished their mission. They could have failed their mission completely and made it so that they don't need to go back anymore, you know? But then it's funny, like, can they do stuff in that show that would make it so they don't exist in the future? They haven't breached that part of the topic
like,
yet.
what would happen? They would just disappear? They would have never have been sent back in the first place?
Right, and then what does that do for all the things that they've actually done?
Right.
Or does it just not let you exist if you actually, like, you can't. I mean, it's self-limiting time traveling, whereas if you basically fuck up and don't exist, you just never exist in the first place. Is that the way it works?
Right. Yeah. Huh.
Would you have gone to Stephen Hawking's time travel party if you knew about it?
Can you imagine if someone had showed up?
Time traveler, but if you had randomly heard about this thing, would you just try to show up?
Nah, that's a dick move.
I would have wanted to do it because I would have wanted to see if there's time travelers.
Well,
I wouldn't say. I'm not saying go and be like Mr. Hawking. I am a time.
That's what I thought you meant.
No, I meant like I'd be like peeking around the corner and be like, does anybody show up? Like, who's a time traveler? What's going on here?
That was an interesting experiment. Like, announce a time travel party after the party was held.
Can you imagine if somebody had like shown up to it and somehow caught wind and pretended to be a time traveler?
That's what I thought you meant at first, but yeah, that would
have blown Stephen Hawking's fucking mind.
Yep. I mean, for all we know, someone did, and they told him that. For all we know, a time traveler showed up and he was sworn to secrecy, sort of thing.
I guess that's true. You know, everybody says that nobody showed up to it. How do they know?
Yeah, you're just going off his word.
Do you think he really rented out this big place? Was there like a lot of food? Was this real, or was it like one of those made up things after the fact?
I mean, he says it was. I mean, he claims it was real.
Do you think he had like a huge catered thing?
Yeah.
Somebody had to pay for it then, right? So somebody knew about it.
He said, like, I remember him saying there was like caviar and stuff like that. I don't know if it was a huge catered thing, but I mean, if anything, it was probably like I'm sure he was rich as fuck and had tons of assistants and that sort of thing. So that's probably who did all the work. It was Alfred, basically. Like
God,
Batman.
can you imagine if you were like the assistant, like a person who doesn't necessarily even believe in it, like Stephen Hawking's? Wouldn't, as he got closer, just be like, "What if? Like, what if somebody walks through the door of this place right now?"
I'm sure you were waiting with like bated breath. Like, man, is someone actually gonna come?
God, that would be insane. I don't think we'll ever see time travel in our
No,
lifetime.
no, I don't think so either. I think there's a
Kind
lot of
of.
things that we want that. I think technology 100 years from now will be so different from what we can even fathom ourselves.
I think 100. You never watched the Orville, did you?
No, what is that again? Is that the
So
comedy?
Seth MacFarlane's like
Yeah.
it's a comedy, but it's more like a drama at the same time. It's like a play on Star Trek, but not being a play like you know, it's not trying to pretend to be Star Trek or anything like that. It's just it's a space movie with Seth Green. No, Seth MacFarlane.
Right.
But
So it's not a
in
comedy? I always thought it was.
it's got comedic aspects, yeah. So it is a comedy, but it's more like a drama. It's like a dramedy type of deal. So it's like it's good. It's like Star Trek, but with some funny aspects to it. But in one of the episodes, they end up like finding this like planet that kind of appeared out of nowhere, and they were like, "What the hell?" And it turns out it phases in and out of existence every like 700 years to the planet's time, but it's only like 12 minutes to them. And they went down on this planet, or maybe it's like an hour or something. They went down on this planet to try to find out. They're like, "Oh, it's a new planet. We don't know about it." And it was like this medieval time planet, and this chick is there, and you know, she heals somebody with like this laser beam thing that they have from the future, and people look at her like she's this god. And then all of a sudden, they go back to the ship, and the planet disappears. And 12 minutes later, it shows back up, and they're like, "What the hell? That was weird." And they go back down to the surface, and it's 700 years in the future, and they're like worshiping her as a god.
Oh, wow.
Because of the stories from her from 700 years ago and like randomly healing this person. And like she's all flipping out that she like destroyed this whole society because they now believe that she's a god. And then long story short, they end up sending this robot down to try to correct the wrong, who can live through the 700 years. And they let the planet phase again while this robot's living down there with them. And when it comes out, like people are like waiting for them because they know that they're coming, and they basically are like, "Yeah, you know, the robot that you sent, whatever, he was cool to live with, but he didn't really like change our mind about anything. Like it's just the cycle of humanity. Humanity at that point in its inception needed a god to follow. If it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else. Like now we've grown past that, and like they have like, you know, their own spaceships and stuff at this point. And that was like really like eye-opening of holy shit, like what's gonna in our planet 700 years from now, how much are they not gonna pay any attention to the shit that they believe from like, you know, written history that nobody can like know if it's true or not, the way the Bible is written and all that stuff. It was like one of those episodes that really made you go, huh, that's like a really interesting concept.
So why did the planet phase in and out? Did they explain that?
I don't know. I have no idea why it phased in and out. It was just the way it worked. Every 12 minutes or whatever it was, your time, it was gone for 700 years, that planet's time. And it just kind of
that's weird.
Appeared in and out of existence. So, you know.
I wonder if we get to Mars and we find creatures there, if we just fuck off, or if we're just like, well, it's our domain to do what we want with.
Oh, I didn't realize where Yusuke was right over here. I realized there was two of you guys. If we see creatures and they're just like fuck off creatures, or
no, like well, we just like, you know, basically, well, we want to colonize Mars, so we don't give a shit about whatever organisms live on Mars. They can just die, as far as we're concerned. Treat them like we treat, you know, roaches or whatever.
Well, I guess the question is, we've already sent like rovers and stuff to Mars to do all this testing that said that there's nothing there.
Well, it doesn't say there's nothing there. There's just it hasn't found anything. I mean, and there's been lots of studies that show that there's probably lots of water underneath the surface. So that could be where the things are living.
Right. Or have they already found signs of something and they were like, we're just going to say there's nothing here?
I don't think that would happen. I like to believe that if we find any kind of organism there, that it becomes world news immediately.
I mean, I would hope.
I mean, I have no idea if that's what'll happen, but I would
I don't know.
like to believe that's what would happen.
I don't know. That would be interesting. Would we destroy whatever life is on Mars to try to savor it?
Even not even save Earth. Even if like we don't need to leave the planet, would we still like? Well, we're more important. We need to colonize here.
I mean, probably.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we'd justify it by saying we're only going to live in this small part of Mars,
Yeah,
and we just take over the whole damn thing.
probably. Well, I guess that's a good point to wrap it up. We killed everything on Mars. Thanks for watching.
Bye, Mars.
Yep. Bye, everybody.